All right. Thanks for tuning in to OFN NFL preview for week 1 of the 2021 season. We're recording the show on Friday night, so the Thursday night game is in the books. We're going to give our predictions for the rest of week 1. We're also going to throw out our predictions for the entire 2021 NFL season. That's going to include our future plays, just our regular predictions, all 7 teams in both conferences, and a bunch of other stuff. So it's going to be a lot of fun this season on OFN NFL Preview with Ryan Dunleavy of the New York Post. And Ryan, how's your week been?
It's been one of the more challenging ones of my life. We wouldn't be taping a Friday night 9 p.m. podcast if it wasn't.
Yeah, right.
But happy to be doing it. It's NFL season. There's worse times a year, so let's get to it.
Worse times a year and worse jobs. So absolutely. Yeah. This is the Playbook, Mark Lawrence's Playbook magazine, and you can order this at playbooksports.com. He also has a digital version available if you prefer the digital version. And up at the screen, you see the phone number there. If you call that number, the 800 number, 321-7777. I think I said enough sevens. The fact is, you will receive a discount. Care of this channel, just use the bonus code PRIME, and you get a bonus off of the yearly newsletter. It's about 20-plus editions through the Super Bowl, and you get a $10 discount. I believe that makes it about $89 for the year, so that's not a bad deal if you're into handicapping, both NFL and college football, by the way. It's for both Sunday and Saturday games, and Monday night and Thursday and everything else, and football throughout the entire season. Then you definitely want Mark Lawrence's newsletter and a lot of the stuff that I'm going to talk about this season on this show, as well as on the show I do with Mark on Wednesdays when we talk college football. A lot's going to come from that newsletter. So let's get started. All right. First of all, last night, that game to me looked just eerily similar to, I mean, I just wasn't very surprised about what I was watching in so many respects, especially with a healthy Dak Prescott. But by the end of the game, when I looked at the stats, it just blew me away. I was like, what is this? What kind of, are they playing a video game? I mean, what are they doing here? But I guess this is what happens when you play a game in Tampa Bay in September and the weather's nice and the Tampa Bay defense just isn't really, riled up enough like they were when things really mattered last season in the postseason.
No, it wasn't. It was a interesting game. Did Dallas even bother to try to run the ball? Did Zeke Elliott even play in that game?
I don't get it. Yeah.
Look, Dallas looked better than I thought they would. They gave Tampa Bay every bit of a run for their money. Tom Brady, I don't know if you've heard, he looks amazing. Both those picks, one went off hands, one was a Hail Mary. To me, that's really 4 touchdowns and no picks. Gronkowski, I kind of had a feeling this would be coming. I should have picked him in more fantasy leagues than I did. I kind of had the feeling that last year he wasn't really in football shape. He kind of, hopped on board late in the training camp. I kind of had a feeling that he needed a year to get back to being Gronk, and he could just, blow up the NFL again this year. You saw a little bit of that last night. And then Antonio Brown, who, can be a hard guy to root for, is just a crazy weapon added to that passing attack. I mean, the Bucs are great. They're going to be a 14-3, 1 or 2 seed again. The Cowboys look good, and they'll be at the top of a weak, NFC East.
Yeah, because this is the team that I don't even remember who I picked last year, but you picked the Cowboys last year for obvious reasons, and I can understand that because that Prescott and the offense, but then once he got hurt, that changed everything. You got the Eagles and the Giants, and then you got a Redskin team, and you got the history of the NFC East of 16, 17 straight years of not repeating. It just makes perfect sense that the Cowboys are going to win this division. They may even win this division going away if they stay healthy all season.
I don't see it. I think Washington's the best team. We'll do our picks in a little bit. I think Washington's the best team, but I think Dallas will give them a run for their money. I think there's a pretty clear divide. People aren't going to want to hear this where I live, New York, Philly, but I think there's a pretty clear divide in the NFC East between the top two teams and the bottom two teams.
All right, well, let's go right at it then. Let's start in the NFC East. So you're going to take Washington over Dallas.
I am. I think Washington is a surprisingly good team. Like, could win 10 games. Good team. I like Fitzpatrick. I think, he'll win you some games. He'll lose you some games. You hope they settle out. And I think the defense and the head coach are good. I mean, that's a good formula. If you have a veteran quarterback and a head coach who's won big before and a good defense, those are a lot of things to have in Washington.
Yeah, I mean, the defense is definitely the edge for Washington. It'll really be interesting when they play the Cowboys because the Redskins have a really good defense. The Cowboys have a really good offense. So I think that's going to make for a really good matchup. But, yeah, I just trends like that just blow me away, which is why I'm going to take the Cowboys, but not just the trends. And not just last night. Like I said, I'm not surprised about what happened last night at all. I was a little bit surprised, and I think maybe, I don't know if you were too. I think what surprised me was just the fact that Prescott didn't play at all. The word was, he's a little banged. He's still not 100% healthy. I didn't think they were going to come out of the gates that fast with the pass offense, and I also didn't expect the Bucs defense to give up as much as they did, but still, either way, I still think it's going to be interesting. I agree Washington's a really good team and should battle for that playoff spot. So you'll take Washington, and will you have two teams in the playoffs from the East?
No, this isn't 1984.
All right, I'll take the Cowboys. Next up, the North, and I'm only going to have one team from the North, and that's going to be the Packers. How about you?
I have the Packers and the Vikings.
All right. So the Minnesota Vikings. So last season, the defense got shredded. They played a lot of young kids. They had some key injuries. So all those young kids got a little older. Mike Zimmer's a really good defensive coach. This is a good team. That was a playoff team that broke their maiden, Kirk Cousins' maiden the year before. There was high expectations until all the injuries decimated him last year. So you believe they're going to rebound and move back to? Is it going to be a close race, or is it going to be like a 3 or 4 game divide?
You mean in the North?
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think they're clearly better than 2 or 3 games better than the Bears, probably 4 or 5 games better than the Lions, and probably 2 or 3 games worse than the Packers. As you'll hear later, the Packers, I have, and as I did last year on this show, the ultimate regard for the Packers. So I have the Packers winning the division. I have the Vikings battling for one of those wild cards. I think the top of the NFC is good. I don't think the bottom of the NFC is very good. I'm not super high on Minnesota, but as I looked around and I was like, do I want Dallas? Do I want New Orleans? I figured Minnesota, really good running back, a quarterback who's pretty good in the regular seasons, a defense you can trust most of the time. They seem like a logical 9-8 team to me.
Okay, in the South, you have the defending champs, and boy, how quickly things changed in the South, because this went from a weak division to a strong division, and now it's back to a weak division again in just a few years, and that's because of the Saints. Now, it could be better division than we think if the Saints are better than we think, or at least better than I think. I'm not saying that they're going to go nosediving. I still think they're going to be very competitive. Winston looked good in the preseason. Peyton's a hell of a coach. They can still play defense. So I think they're going to battle for a playoff spot. But Tampa Bay is the clear team in this division, of course. And it's actually the only team that I'm picking out of the South.
Same here. Only pick Tampa. Don't think Atlanta's very good. Think Carolina's decidedly below average. And New Orleans, I'm fascinated by. I think they're one of the teams I really want to see because we don't know, right? Like, we think Bill Belichick's a genius even without Tom Brady. Do we know that Sean Payton's a genius without Drew Brees? Do we know that? I don't know. They lose in the playoffs every single year. They lose, I actually think it's a really important year for Sean Payton. If he can get Jameis Winston to live up to Jameis Winston's #1 draft pick potential, then Sean Payton's a Hall of Fame coach. I don't care if he never wins another Super Bowl.
Well, what's interesting? It's very similar to what Bill Belichick dealt with the year after Tom Brady left. He had Cam Newton in there looking for a second life. Here's Sean Payton. He loses Breeze. He's got Winston looking for a second life. You know, there were some moments for the Patriots last year, but it didn't work out. And that's kind of the way I see it this year for the Saints as well. I think there'll be some moments, but I just think there are some better teams. Look, they could make the playoffs if Winston has a really good season, but I'm just going to say that they're just going to barely miss out. And by the way, it's not going to have any impact in my mind on how I think about Peyton either. I just wonder whether or not he'll stay. Do you think he'll eventually leave the Saints and coach somewhere else?
I don't know. Where's the somewhere else? Dallas?
Possible.
Dallas, maybe. Yeah. He's not coming back to the Giants. He's not coming back to the Jets. Maybe Dallas. I guess if Dallas opened, you couldn't rule it out. But I don't know why you'd give. I mean, New Orleans is a good place to coach.
Sure.
Good place to live.
Yeah. And he runs the town. So yeah.
Yeah, he runs the town. You know, they have good young talent. If Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara stay healthy, I mean, I don't know why he'd give that up. But you know, coaches get the itch.
In the West. Now, I don't know if it's possible. That's the thing.
It's not.
And that's the only thing. I'd say this. If it was possible for all four teams to make the postseason, I would put them all in. But because we haven't seen it yet, I'm going to say Arizona's going to barely miss out. But I still think Arizona has the talent to make it. I wonder what happens if Arizona doesn't make it, if they go. I mean, do you think there's got to be a certain win number that Cliff Kingsbury, if they don't make the playoffs, that he'll be back in 2022?
No, I don't. I mean, I don't see how you fire a guy if his teams are pretty good and you.
Well, what's the win total then?
I don't think that matters.
So if he only wins 4 games.
I mean, is Kyler Murray? Why did he only win 4 games? Was Kyler Murray hurt? Like, that all matters to me. Like, no, that's a team. To me, that's a program that's headed in the right direction. So
okay. I
can't fire my coach because he came in 4th place in like maybe the greatest division of the decade. So no, I can't fire him just because on win total. I have to. Now look, if Kyler Murray regresses, if the defense revolts, if they think he's too focused on the offense and the locker room quits on him, then sure, of course he could get fired. But to me, I can't fire him if he goes 6-11 just because the other 3 teams went 11-6. Like that's the break.
I think Arizona. I don't think they could win the division, but I think they could finish anywhere from 2nd to 4th.
Yeah, I mean, I would tell you, I think they can finish 1st to 4th. I think they're good. Yeah. And yet, I would tell you, I have them 4th in the division. They would win the NFC East hands down, in my opinion.
And the thing is, look. And what we're saying is we like Arizona, but because you can't basically have 4 teams, we just can't find a way to get them in. But you know what will happen? Potentially, maybe, it happens every year, injuries. Look at San Francisco, injuries. Right. So if one of these teams in the NFC West has injuries, then all bets are off, and Arizona's a playoff team. So
correct. I would agree with that. Yep. I'd put them 1st in the NFC East and 2nd in the North and the South.
All right, so who were the 3 playoff teams? Well, you have 3 out of the 4 then, and not Arizona.
Correct.
Okay. And the other playoff team for me, I'm going to have Washington make it.
You're putting 2 from the East?
I'm going to do it, yes. Because I was thinking about Washington or Minnesota, and I'm going to go ahead and take Washington. So.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Well, the division is not very good. So if Washington and Dallas are good, then they should be able to win a couple of cheap games.
Wow. Bill Parcells called for you. Joe Gibbs called for you.
Yeah, I didn't take 3 teams now.
Buddy Ryan called for you.
And by the way, I'm not saying maybe the records are like, 10-7 and 9-8.
Bears made it at 8-8.
There you go. So. Okay, so your 7 teams, you're going to go with Washington, Green Bay, Minnesota, Tampa Bay, and then the top 3 in the West without Arizona. So those are your 7. And who is going to win the NFC Championship?
Do you want me to seed them?
Yes, you could seed them.
I went Green Bay 1, Tampa Bay 2, San Francisco 3, Washington 4, the Rams 5, Minnesota 6, Seattle 7. And then I went I went Green Bay over Tampa Bay in the NFC Championship game, and I'll save the Super Bowl.
So Green Bay over Tampa Bay. Okay, Tampa Bay back to the championship. Oh, so it's a rematch of the championship game from last year, except this one. Well, this one will be also in Green Bay.
Correct.
Okay, interesting.
Aaron Rodgers' last game in Green Bay.
That's true, more than likely. And I'm going to go Green Bay, Tampa Bay, the Rams, Dallas, Seattle, San Francisco, and Washington. And my representative in the NFC is going to be the LA Rams over the Packers.
Wow, the Rams. All right.
Yeah, I'm going to ride Matthew Stafford in that defense and say Stafford was the missing ingredient for the Rams to break through.
I'm not sure there's a player in the NFL this season with more pressure on
That's true. Yeah. But the thing is, hey, you know what? If you want to get to the Hall of Fame one day, or if you want to be considered, a really upper tier quarterback, then you better handle the pressure.
You know how many playoff wins he has, right?
As many as I do.
I believe. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
You have more, I think. You have more.
I've seen more.
Yeah. All right, let's get to the AFC now. And in the AFC East, I just see one team, and that's Buffalo. I'm going to have the Patriots finishing in second place, but I'm going to say they miss out on a playoff berth.
I have two, and neither one is the Patriots. I have Buffalo winning the division, and I have Miami getting in the playoffs, the sneaking in last team, maybe even winning a tiebreaker over New England. I think it's a very fine line between those two teams. But I went with Miami last week. I'm not going to change.
Yeah, for Miami, what I need to see is, and it might only take a few games, I need to see that Tua has changed. I need to see, first of all, I need to see him get protected. But secondly, I also need to see him throw the ball downfield accurately. If he throws the ball down the field accurately, then he's taking that next step. And yes, they could definitely be a playoff team. But until I see that with my own eyes, then I'm going to say they're going to miss out and have another pretty decent season. I'm not saying because they're in third, they're not going to have a decent season. I just not sold on Tua yet.
There's a lot of quarterback battles in the NFL that I'm really into right now. Like Herbert Mahomes could be good for 10 years in the West. There's a lot of them when I think of them that I think are going to be really good. But right towards the top, I'm fascinated by Tua, Mac Jones for as long as it lasts. And it might only be 2 years if one of them flames out. But the two Alabama guys, Mac was Tua's backup. Tua came out with all the hype. But all of a sudden now, a year later, everybody thinks Mac Jones is better.
I know.
And why wasn't he starting over Tua?
Yeah.
It's the fact that those two former teammates are going to go head to head. You just don't see that. You don't see that.
Yeah, it's a good point. So that is going to be
very fascinated by that. And the Dolphins always give the Patriots trouble.
And that'll be week one drama right away. So that's going to be must-see TV. All right, and by the way, if Tua, and the rest of those quarterbacks become, talented quarterbacks, you've got 4 young, talented quarterbacks in the AFC East. That could be something for years to come.
That won't happen. That'll never happen.
Somebody's going to flame out.
Sure.
Yeah. All right. In the North, I only have one team making the postseason from the North. And you know who it is because I bought in on Cleveland last year, so I'm definitely not backing out now. It's going to be the Browns. There's something about this Raven offense, the injuries. And the schedule is brutal. So, and I just don't really believe in Pittsburgh either at this point. So I'm going to say Cleveland, and that's it. Who do you have in the North?
I think you're certifiably insane.
Yeah.
I almost put all 3 teams in. I thought about it. I think it's the second best division behind the NFC West, which we just spent 5 minutes on, so we don't need to rehash. But I think certainly all 3 teams could go in. I didn't do all three, just because Pittsburgh's age kind of scares me. especially at quarterback,
Yeah.
obviously.
And he
The
lasts.
offensive line, I'm just not sure they rebuilt it right. So I left them out, and I went Cleveland winning the division, Baltimore making the playoffs. I mean, I'm not, I'm not a wagering kind of guy, but I will put a wager on Baltimore making the playoffs. They're just one of those teams that never misses the playoffs. So.
Well, both of those teams, by the way, and that's the reason I'm knocking them out, is that they have two of the toughest schedules in all of the NFL. And yes, I don't know if Roethlisberger can last the season at his age, and if he doesn't play, they don't win. And as far as Baltimore, like I said, I'm just there's something about what's going on there I just don't like. I'm not sold anyway. Never have been on Lamar Jackson in the passing game. He could single-handedly with that defense get him to the postseason. I completely understand that without having to
I think
pass the
Lamar
football.
Jackson's an excellent regular season quarterback. I'm not sure he'll ever win big in the playoffs, but I think he's an excellent regular season quarterback.
All right, in the South, I just think it's going to be the same two, Tennessee and Indianapolis. And obviously the thing I'm concerned with Indianapolis is also their schedule and Wentz. We have no idea how he's going to look week one. If you're a Colt fan, you hope that they didn't rush him. It's the worst thing they could do if he goes out there and he gets hurt again and you rushed him and he's out for the season. But if as long as he stays healthy, and that's what I'm going to go on, then I think they're both going to make the postseason. And I don't think it's going to be pretty. Jacksonville probably wins about 4 or 5 games, which isn't bad considering they won 1 last year.
I only have Tennessee in. And that is I think Indianapolis is one of the smartest organizations in football. I have zero faith in Carson Wentz staying healthy for the majority of the season. Never happens. Quentin Nelson's banged up too. He's really the anchor of that offensive line. They're relying on Eric Fisher, who was obviously out last year. To me, it just feels like a good organization that's going to have a bad year. Like, that sometimes happens. We've seen it, right? We've seen good teams who all of a sudden they just take one inexplicable step back and then they're good again. I think that's Indianapolis this year. I think they could start off really poor, hit their stride midway, and just have too much ground to make up. I think maybe if they're in the NFC, I have them in the playoffs, but the AFC's too deep, too good at the bottom. I don't see Indianapolis making it, and I think Tennessee's really good. I think Tennessee could win this division by going 6-0 in the division.
Well, I still think there's problems with Tennessee's defense, and until I see Tennessee's defense do anything different than what I've seen over the last few years, then I think they'll have the type of season they had last year. They'll be good. They'll probably win the division. Based on the way things are looking with the Colts, like you mentioned, there's no doubt that they're having some injury issues. By the way, Tennessee's they've been dealing with COVID issues heading into the last week of preseason, so I'm not sure how that'll affect them the first week or two. But look, with Indianapolis, the other reason I like them is their defense. They've gotten better on defense. We talked about it a week or two ago. Kwity Paye could very well be the defensive rookie of the year if he looks any way like he looked in the preseason, and that's going to be a big deal for that defense. So that's why I like the Colts, because their defense stepped up last year, and now they bring in Kwity Paye. So, all right, in the West, and this is where I have my one surprise team make the playoffs, because I don't have any surprise teams make the playoffs at all. But my one surprise, because I actually don't consider, I guess they are maybe 2. Because I'm actually putting Denver and Las Vegas in the playoffs. I'm not going to put the Chargers in. Not because I don't think
the Chargers.
Yeah, not because I don't think the Chargers. What's that?
You have the Chargers coming in
Yes.
4th place.
Well, somebody does. I think it's going to be very close. But Denver, it's basically Vegas beating out the Chargers, because Chargers, they have a first-year coach. There's still some things about that Charger team that I just need to see in action for a full season. They always seem to disappoint. So, and Vegas, I think it's kind of, with Carr at his best year. I'm a big Edwards fan. I think Ruggs will be better. I think the offense should be fine. The defense a little bit better. Las Vegas is the surprise team. Denver is not a surprise team. Denver is loaded offensively at the skill positions, and I think Teddy Bridgewater is good enough with that really good defense that I think Denver's a really solid playoff team.
Wow, I don't agree at all. I think the top. This is a little, to me, maybe even the most top-heavy division in the NFL. To me, I think there's two really good teams and two really bad teams, and I don't think Denver or Las Vegas is a playoff team. I think they're both 6-win kind of teams. I think LA is a really good team. I wish I could put, like, just for one season, I wish I could put Frank Reich as, like, the Chargers coach and Brandon Staley as the Colts coach, because the only thing holding me back on the Chargers is I don't know much about Brandon Staley. I know you rave about him, but 5 years ago he was the defensive coordinator of a Division III school. So, like, I don't know how he's going to handle timeouts. I don't know how he's going to handle clock management. I don't know how he's going to handle adversity in his locker room. That all kind of worries me. But I just think this team is just super talented. I mean, this is a team. Forgive me if you don't, if you're to a different age bracket than me, Greg, to have played much Madden in your life. But this is a team I want to play Madden with. Like this, they have speed. They have fun players. They have a top player at safety. They have a top player at defensive end. They have a top player at quarterback. They have a top player at receiver. They have a good running back. I mean, all the positions that matter, they have an elite skill guy. So to me, and then they have and then they address the offensive line. Rashawn Slater's been awesome in the preseason. So and then Corey Linsley they did everything to me they needed to do. I'm really high on the Chargers, and I don't even know if we need to talk about the Chiefs right now. Right? No. We're going to talk about them when we get to the deep in the playoffs. So.
Yeah, I again, the Chargers, if everything comes together and all those players you talked about stay healthy for once together, yeah, okay. But that's the problem. They just never find a way to all stay healthy. Something happens to the safety. Bosa gets hurt. Eckler's still hurt. He just pulled his hamstring again. I mean, it's just one thing after another with Charger injuries. Keenan Allen got hurt a couple of years ago. So everybody gets hurt on that team, all those star players you talked about. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So, but you're right. If they could all stay healthy, there would be a dangerous team.
I'm mesmerized by the talent, so I'm going in.
Okay, so give me your top 7.
Kansas City, Cleveland, Buffalo, Tennessee, Baltimore, the Chargers, and then the Dolphins.
All right. And your championship matchup?
Browns over Chiefs, winning in Kansas City.
Another rematch, back-to-back rematches with the losing team from 2020 beating the winning team from 2020.
I didn't even realize that, honestly. That wasn't done on purpose.
Revenge, double revenge. All right. I'm going to go Buffalo, Chiefs, Browns, Titans, Denver, Colts, and Vegas. And I'm going to take the championship game is going to be Buffalo beating Cleveland.
I thought it was going to be Denver beating Las Vegas.
No, let's not get carried away. So, and my Super Bowl pick is going to be the Rams over the Bills.
And mine is the Packers over the Browns.
So Aaron Rodgers wins on his way out.
I just don't see any other way. I'm a believer.
Why wouldn't he stay?
Greg, you'll learn this about me. Like, I'm a believer in, like, the sports story. I mean, it's not a surprise. I'm a journalist, right? But I'm a believer in, like, karma and, like, the great story prevails. And, like, there's no better story than, Aaron Rodgers winning a Super Bowl and then saying to the Green Bay management, boy, you screwed this up. See you later. Like, I mean, that just, to me, that has to happen.
Let's keep this in mind. If that were to happen, and let's just say right now as of today, we know he's just not going to go to, some crappy team. So where does he fit?
Anywhere. Literally.
I just said that. He's not going to go to a crappy team.
But so there's 5. Who doesn't take him? The Giants aren't going to take him over Daniel Jones?
You think Aaron Rodgers would go to the Giants?
I think he can almost pick anywhere he wants to go that doesn't have Tom Brady or Russell Wilson. Why can't he go to Seattle? He could go to Seattle. They don't even want Russell Wilson. So there's maybe 5 places he can't
New
go.
Orleans would probably be a good spot.
New Orleans, yeah. Why he could go anywhere. He could literally go anywhere. Who?
Well, I know he could go
up
anywhere, but just like Tom Brady, he picked Tampa Bay because he saw the talent there. He says, "I can go there. We can win the Super Bowl." That's what Aaron Rodgers is going to say. He's not going to pick the Giants. He's not going to go, I go there. We're going to the Super Bowl.
How about Miami?
No.
How about Pittsburgh? Yeah, he could go anywhere. He could go.
I think the Saints. Yes, definitely.
Sure.
Definitely the Saints. That makes a lot of sense.
How about Denver?
Denver, yes. Yes.
How about Las Vegas?
No.
Yes, of course he could go to Las Vegas.
No, he can, but they're not a team that would win a Super Bowl with him. It would take 2 more years.
Mm-hmm.
I think he wants instant satisfaction like Brady. First of all, if he doesn't win the Super Bowl, does he leave?
That's a little bit of revisionist history. Who thought Tampa Bay could win a Super Bowl before Tom Brady went there? No one thought that.
Yeah, well, no, but you knew they were a playoff caliber Super Bowl contending team.
They hadn't been in the playoffs since 2007.
Yeah, but look at the talent on the team.
I mean, so that's what I'm saying. I don't know. If you put Aaron Rodgers on the Raiders, I'll be like, okay, I'm in on the Raiders.
I don't know about that. But anyway, so you say, by the way, is it absolutely 100% lock he's leaving?
I think so. Yeah, absolutely. So.
All right. Okay, so now let's get to futures. Now, what we did is we decided we had $500 to invest, go down to the Las Vegas casino, or, go actually, to rotowire.com/betting and pick one of their sports books to place some future wagers. So we had $500 of investment money, $100 each on 5 teams. And Ryan has his 5 and I have my 5. Now, I do futures all season long. Ryan will have to decide whether or not he wants to do this all season long or not. But for me, my 5, where's my 5? Tell you what, let's get your 5 first because it's right here. Go ahead and give me your 5 because you actually have 2 of my teams.
Packers and Browns, because I just told you I think they're going to be in the Super Bowl.
Those are 2 of my teams.
Yeah. You read the odds. I don't have the odds in front of me.
Green Bay 14-1 and Cleveland 16-1.
Yeah. I mean, I have both those as my Super Bowl team, so I'm going to pick them. And then look, obviously you could then say, I'll take the Bills or I'll take the Chiefs. To me, that, to win, what are the Chiefs? 5-2?
To win the Super Bowl? No. To win the Super Bowl, the Bills are, let's see what they are. The Bills, I have to actually look at the futures.
Not the Bills. The Chiefs.
Oh, the Chiefs are 6-1.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's
5-1. Excuse me. No, but the thinking would be, which is why I took Tampa Bay at 6-1, is you pick one of those teams to get your money back. That's all I do. Yeah. I know it's funny money to you, so you don't care. But if you were actually spending your money, you would put $100 on one of those teams to get your money back.
I don't think I would. The few bets I've placed, I'm not a big bettor, but the few bets I've placed, I'm always looking for the big payday.
Out of between Tampa Bay or Kansas City, which one would you take?
Tampa Bay, because I think the AFC is better.
Yeah, that's why like I said, I had Tampa Bay in. So you got Green Bay and Cleveland, so do I. And then you actually have Seattle, which I was surprised, not because I like Seattle too. They were one of the teams that just missed my cut. I didn't have them in, but why do you like Seattle as a good option?
I just figured they have a top 5 quarterback. He was playing at an MVP level last year, and they had good odds, right? It's 25-1, something like that. So. To me, that's as good odds as you're going to get on Seattle anytime in the last decade. Yeah. So, usually they're a 10-1, 15-1 kind of team. So, good odds with a good quarterback and a good coach. To me, that makes sense.
And I think they're going to be better defensively because of the fact that the young kids they drafted last year really didn't play. They're going to play this year. They added a couple other guys. So, I think Seattle's going to be a better all-around team this year than they were last year. Then your long shot plays, you took Minnesota and Pittsburgh. Minnesota 44-1 and Pittsburgh at 50-1.
I actually checked multiple sites on Pittsburgh. I don't have them in my playoffs as you saw, but I easily could. Like I could have given them the spot over the Dolphins. Um, I could not believe they were 50-1. I checked multiple sites. They were 11-0 last year.
I know.
They were 11-0,
I know.
and they had the worst first quarter of a playoff game anyone could ever possibly have, and still almost rallied to come back in that game.
You didn't take Pittsburgh to get to the playoffs?
I did not.
I thought when I took one team, I thought you said you took three. Okay.
No, I almost took three. I bumped out Pittsburgh for Miami at the last second. But then when I saw 50-1, that's just too good.
Yeah, because the thing that when you're taking teams from like 25 up, what you're looking for is players, like you said, you're looking for players and coaches that you can imagine winning a Super Bowl. Ben Roethlisberger, Mike Tomlin, Russell Wilson, Pete Carroll.
Yeah. I thought about, like, who else is in that range. I looked at it and I was like, give me another team that was like 45, 50, 55-1. Give me another team on the
let's see. At 45 or 50, let's say the Cardinals at 48.
Yeah.
The Bears are 66.
There you go. I can't. In no world is Matt Nagy winning a Super Bowl with a rookie quarterback who I think might be good, but is not going to win a Super Bowl as a rookie. There you go. Who can you see winning the Super Bowl this year? How do the Steelers and the Bears have the same odds? That's bonkers.
Yeah, I agree. And then Minnesota, you also put in there. And like I said, just a couple of years ago, they were on the rise, and then the injuries occurred last year. So.
Correct. I don't know that you can pick Kirk Cousins in the playoffs. That might be a waste of an imaginary, fictional $100. But I think they're good. I just think they're stuck behind the Packers. I think they're a good team. But they're going to have to play all the games on the road because they're not winning their division.
All right, and then my 5, again, I said Green Bay and Cleveland. I also said Tampa Bay was my pick to get my money back. The other two teams, the Colts at 35-1 and Denver at 50-1. And then the other team, no, wait, not Denver. It was, where's the other one? Oh, the Rams. The Rams at 15-1 because that's my Super Bowl pick. And the Colts at 35-1. Denver and Seattle were the two teams that just missed my cut.
So. Gotcha.
All right, now let's get to week 1 picks. And each week we're going to have a 5-star, a 4-star, a 3-star upset picks. And then we'll throw in some additional picks. And what I'm going to do is I'll post them up so you can see what the picks are on our shows. So I'm going to edit them into the show accordingly, and you know exactly who our picks are each week. You can follow them all season long. And let's get started with let's get started with our 5 stars. And you have as your 5-star, you're right away, you're slamming my Raider team. First game at home with fans in the stands, and the Ravens are going to put it to the Raiders, embarrass the Raiders and their fan base. You have the Baltimore -3 as your 5-star.
I love Baltimore. You love the Raiders, so it's a great way to go right there. You are down on the Ravens. I'm down on the Raiders. It's a great.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
Great week 1 matchup for the two of us. I just, like I said, Harbaugh, Lamar Jackson thinks he's a really good quarterback in the regular season. Love the defense there. To me, that they're a team that can win anywhere, anytime, any place.
And my 5-star is going to be the LA Rams. My Super Bowl pick against Chicago. They were a 7-point favorite. So I'm going right away. Matthew Stafford's first game, prime time. I mean, Andy Dalton. I have it here. Where is it? Andy Dalton, by the way, if you look at just over the last, I think, I don't know exactly what how many, I think it's a couple of seasons. He's 6-19 straight up and 9-16 against the spread in his last 25 starts. Not good for Andy Dalton. So I think with the crowd there and Matthew Stafford on national TV, if they don't beat up the Rams and cover that spread, then I'm already regretting my Super Bowl pick. So. All right, 4-star. Now, we both agree you like them as a 4-star. I like them as a 3-star. The Denver Broncos -2 against the Giants. And everything says to take Denver this week. There's one thing that says not to, and that is just because if you look at Fangio, he hasn't started out pretty well early in the season. But other than that, everything else says to take Denver.
Yeah, and I'm not super high on Denver, but I see the Giants every single day. And I think these might be relatively, in my eyes, not in yours, obviously, these might be relatively even teams in the like they might both be 6 or 7 win teams in my eyes. But head to head, it is a disaster of Bradley Chubb, who's questionable, and Von Miller and the rest of that front seven against the Giants' offensive line that I literally don't think can block, because I don't know they can block the Pop Warner team down the street. Like, I think the Giants' offensive line is a major, major concern, and the last thing they need to do is go against a great pass rush right off the bat. That scares me. I think this could be like 21-6.
Well, and here's another player that is underrated, by the way, and that's Bridgewater. I don't know if you knew this or not, but I know you don't. But Bridgewater, because these are not straight up, these are betting trends. Teddy Bridgewater, as a starter, is 36-14 against the spread as a starter. And he's 26-5 against the spread against non-division teams as a starter. So a very underrated. Well, actually, he's a gambler's quarterback, Teddy Bridgewater. So Giants, by the way, have dropped 4 straight openers, 0-4.
Nine of their last 10.
And 9 of their last 10. There you go. All right, Nick.
This will be fascinating to do all year, Greg, because you're going to make your picks based on the nuggets like you're giving now that I have no interest in. I mean, I have zero interest in Teddy Bridgewater's history against the spread. To me, that means absolutely nothing. I know bettors really get into it. To me, it's looking at this team, looking at that team, and trying to predict a score.
And by the way, that's why I'm going to hold a lot of my other nuggets for when I post the picks. I'll have a couple other trends in there. I'm going to make sure I save those for people to read on their own because I don't want to bother Ryan with too many of them. All right. The 3-star play on your end is going to be San Francisco, -7 against Detroit. And my 3-star, I already told you, so I'll tell you my 4-star, which is Seattle as a 3-point favorite against the Colts. So we're both going with.
Oh, you love the Colts.
What's that?
You love the Colts.
Don't you remember when I picked Jacksonville to upset the Colts last year, week 1, and they did? And I told you I had the Colts to have a good season. So it's because, see, you don't like any of this stuff, but it's because the Colts under Frank Wright are 0-3 straight up and against the spread as a home dog, and 0-3 straight up and against the spread week 1. So that's a combination that says Carson Wentz is not ready. They don't play well week 1 under Frank Reich. And by the way, Seattle and Russell Wilson, they actually do a very good job in East Coast time zone starts. A lot of people think, they're going to go west to the east, so I'm going to pick the East Coast team. No. Russell Wilson is a historically very good winning quarterback when he has to travel east. But you have San Francisco against Detroit. I don't know what to expect from Detroit, and you do get the feeling that San Francisco is going to take out all the injuries from last year on Detroit on Sunday.
There's 2 reasons I made the pick. One of them you just said. I just feel like San Francisco's got a year's worth of frustration to take out. And 2, I think no one really knows what to expect from Kyle Shanahan. How's he going to use Trey Lance? How's he going to use Garoppolo? Like, no one really knows. Like, could Lance get a series here or there? Could he come in for some trick plays? Like, Kyle Shanahan is too smart, and there's too many different ways he could play this. That would terrify me if he was going up against a good tactician. If he was going up against Belichick, I'd be worried about what Kyle Shanahan could do against a team that, we don't. I like Dan Campbell's rah, like tough guy. I like all that, but I don't know that he can. I don't know that he's ready to match wits with Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah, what I liked about we talked about with Campbell is at least he's got Anthony Lynn and Aaron Glenn doing a lot of the X's and O's stuff for him. So that helps.
Aaron Glenn, it's not like Aaron Glenn's been a head coach.
No.
It's not like he's a big-time defensive coordinator.
Not yet. Nope.
That scares me, I got to tell you. I think they could get their pants pulled down.
And by the way, speaking of those types of matchups, because we haven't seen them yet, when I was talking to Evan Lazar, I do the Patriot shows every week, and he made a good point, which is nobody knows the Dolphins. Nobody's going to know. The Dolphins are going to be the ones that possibly pay for it. how the Patriots are going to use those two tight ends. He thinks Josh McDaniels is going to have all sorts of crazy, like you got to go back to Gronk and Hernandez when he had them and how he's going to be able to use those guys. So that's what happens in these first games. You don't know how these coaches are going to use some of these players. So how long before Lance starts?
It depends how much they're winning. I mean, what Brian Flores did last year, benching Fitzpatrick with a winning record for the Dolphins, is very unusual. If they're winning, I don't know. I would say probably 10 weeks, maybe.
Do you think Jimmy's going to stay healthy?
If they're 1-2, yeah, that's the other thing. He's probably not going to stay healthy. So,
I get the feeling Jimmy G is going to get hurt at some point.
Yeah. If they're 1-2, it could be week 4, but I think it'll probably most likely be whenever Jimmy G gets hurt, and then he won't get the job back.
All right, now our upsets, and these are only, you have to be at least a 3-point dog, and the money line has to be at least plus 150. So we both have 2 upset play, and obviously we got to win the game outright. And Ryan went with the Pittsburgh Steelers as an outright upset, plus 230 on the money line. And he's going with my New York Jets at plus 170 on the money line. So let's start there first with those 2 teams. So Pittsburgh over Buffalo, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I think Buffalo's, I've said this before on this show, Buffalo, I love their talent. I'm very worried about their whole locker room with COVID and the idea that guys might not be seeing eye to eye in that locker room. And I don't think that, and I just think they could be one of those teams that's reading into their own hype. Everybody and their mother and Greg has them in the Super Bowl. So I just think that they could be one of those teams that, is feeling themselves a little too much and needs a punch back to earth a little bit.
First of all, the defense definitely has to play better. No question about that. That's why they drafted those pass rushers. And they got to run the ball. So they're not a complete team. So I get that. I understand. And as far as Pittsburgh, that would be big. That could be, if they opened the season with a win over Buffalo, that could be a type of win that if Roethlisberger stays healthy, well, they're a playoff team. So, okay. And then the Jets. So is this more of a characterization of Sam Darnold or the Jets?
I don't think Carolina's great. I think they're probably better than the Jets, but I just haven't been around the Jets. I like the vibe around the Jets. Call it, I don't know, insider information or whatever. Like, I just feel like I like the vibe around the Jets. I don't think they're going to be a great team, but I think they're really ready to go for week 1. I like Zach Wilson. I think the league will catch up, and then he'll have to readjust and whatnot, but I think Zach Wilson week 1 could have an advantage over teams that have, early, week 1, week 3. I left out week 2 because it's New England. Could have an advantage over some teams. And look, the Jets defense, that scares me, but they have the right guy coaching the defense that they could make up for some personnel losses with some schematics.
Yeah, the whole thing about Bless Austin, I'll tell you right now, I've already started to read Joe Douglas and the way that they speak. Because when Joe Douglas sits there and says, we let Bless Austin go because he was going to end up being a backup and we wanted him to be able to go somewhere to start, is such
nonsense.
Bullshit. You obviously don't like the guy. Just tell us why.
No. But that's not just Joe Douglas. Anybody who says that, that's not. I mean, look, you might do that. The Texans might have done that for J.J. Watt, an all-time great player in their franchise who they're not going anywhere. They want him to have a chance to win. You're not doing that to Bless Austin, who's been you're not cutting a good player because you want him to have a chance to start. No one does that. If you thought he was good enough, he'd be there because your corner could get hurt week 1 and he's a starter.
It's something. I think that
no one lets go with good young players. They didn't like him.
Yeah. And I think it had to do with he's always been there's something the attitude maybe or something character-wise that I
like it. I like his confidence.
I do too, but I think that there's something we don't know about that they know, and that's why they let him go. So
I hear he did not, as my colleague Brian Costello reported in the Post, I hear he did not respond well to getting picked on in the Green Bay Packers joint practices.
Okay. And you know what? He's probably the type of guy that if you do make him a second string, he's going to pout about it. And they don't want one of those players on the team. So
it's possible.
Oh, by the way, I bet you didn't know this, as bad as the Jets were last year. Over the last 24 games, okay, Carolina is 5-19. The Jets are 8-16. The Jets have a 3-game lead over Carolina over the last 24 games. As bad as the Jets are, that does show you that Carolina has not been very good for a couple of years now. So, okay. And then my 2 upset picks, I'm going with big surprise. Come on.
Jets?
No, come on.
I'd have to look at the schedule.
Oh, come on. You're just not thinking. One of the teams is Cleveland. I'm taking the Browns.
Okay.
And the Browns I'm taking because I think they're just a really good team, getting 2-1 on the money line. The other team is Las Vegas.
The Raiders.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'm taking.
I just pulled up the schedule as you were saying the Raiders.
So I'm going Vegas as my upset against your 5-star. And and then just a few of the other picks. Ryan's going with Washington over the Chargers and the Packers over the Saints. And of course, that game.
I'm very interested in that Washington Chargers game. 2 teams I'm very high on.
Yep. And Green Bay. And that game, where is that game again?
The Green Bay game is in New Orleans. Oh, well, no, it's in Jacksonville.
Jacksonville,
now.
Okay. And my additional picks, Atlanta, Washington, Houston, and the Patriots. So I actually like Atlanta more than you do. That's my one team that I like more than you do. Give me a team that's not very good that you like. Because one of those is Atlanta for me.
Jacksonville.
Jacksonville?
Yeah, Jacksonville.
Okay.
I think they're a 5 or 6 win team. Yep.
That's okay. How about, I think Atlanta could be, like, best case scenario, like a 500 team. Do you have, like, one of those teams that you think could be, like, a 500 team?
That team that I think could go 500?
Yeah, like one of those teams, yeah. Because I know you don't like Atlanta, and I do. So somebody like that.
A bad team, I think, could go 500.
How about, let's see.
Chicago count?
Yeah, I guess so. Sure. Why not? Yeah, they're 66-1.
Yeah, Chicago. I don't think they make the playoffs, but they could go 8-9.
Okay. So that'll be your sleeper long shot type team. All right. So again, I'm gonna edit everything into this show and all of our shows, so everybody will see what we're doing and talking about, including, of course, our futures. We'll follow that all season. Appreciate it. Late on a Friday night. The games won't start till Sunday, so at least I got some time to edit these things before Sunday. And we'll do this again next week. Now, every Friday we're gonna record these shows every Friday morning. We will have our Rutgers shows that we do earlier in the weeks, or at least we're gonna try to do them earlier in the week. And then I'm gonna enjoy watching the game tomorrow. You know what I don't like is Rutgers at 2:00, Illinois, Virginia at 11:00 on the ACC channel. College football games don't take 3 hours. They take 3.5 hours.
You're going to miss the beginning
yes,
of the
and I'm really upset about that. I'm like, come on. There's no other way to watch it?
Let me just plug one thing here. At the Post, we have a new subscriber, membership platform that people can join. I hope everybody will. As I've said, I'm obviously biased. I think the Post has the best sports section in the country for, a newspaper. So to read all our writers' analysis and whatnot, we'll have a subscriber membership program, not for everything, but just for our really good in-depth, the pieces we really think hit home runs. The daily content you can still read as you always have in the newspaper and on the website, but we have a new platform. I think the content will really be worth it. Insider content, not just for football. Our baseball writers, our basketball writers, our hockey writers are tremendous. And my first piece behind the paywall, I'm really proud of. If you're a Marvel fan and you're familiar with the what if that they're doing right now, it was a what if Tom Brady was never born. And I called some smart people, some GMs, some scouts, some analysts, and I said, what would the NFL look like if Tom Brady was never born? And I didn't do it crazy. The Jets don't win 20 Super Bowls. But it's what would the NFL look like if Tom Brady was never born? And I did it from personnel. Where does Bill Belichick wind up? What happens to Gronk? Where's Edelman? I did it from schematics. Do we see two tight end sets? What's the value of the slot receiver without Tom Brady? And I did it from contracts. How different is Patrick Mahomes? He's not taking a team-friendly deal from the Chiefs so that the Chiefs could put superstar talent around him, because Tom Brady has never done that, so no one has ever done that. So I wrote maybe it's 1,200 words, and the words Tom Brady never appear in the story. It's just a fictional, total fiction NFL preview of a season as if Tom Brady had never existed. And like I said, I'm biased, but I think it's pretty good, and I hope people will sign up and check it out.
And what is so they just go to NewYorkPost.com and then they can find out immediately where to get it.
NYPost.com, and any story you click on that has that.
It'll have like one of those things exclusive or because I actually pay, I think it's, $10 a month for the Rutgers content. The behind the wall Rutgers content at NJ.com. Yeah. So, because they have everything, anything that matters for Rutgers is behind the wall at NJ.com.
They do a tremendous job.
Yeah. So if you're a Rutgers fan, you have to do that. Otherwise, you're going to miss out on a lot. So, all right, that's awesome. I'll check that out for sure. No question. I appreciate it as always, Ryan. We'll talk Rutgers and the NFL again next week and all through the 2021 season. We'll see you next time.